What's going on, YouTube peeps? Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you're at. Sergeant Meeples here. I'm. Let's just be honest. I'm gonna start off with just saying that I debated whether to make this video. I debated whether to make this video because the TTRPG games that I wanted to showcase and talk about, I haven't played them all yet, but I'm new to the Solo TTRPGs, and I'm new, obviously, depending on when you watch this video. As you can see, I'm still a fairly recent and new YouTube channel, and I thought to myself, what if there's somebody out there that is on YouTube looking for Solo TTRPGs, and trying to figure out what to play, or figuring out what each of these Solo TTRPGs are like. And just by the off chance that there is somebody out there that is looking or researching like I did for the last 3 months or so, I figured, why not make it? As my journey began in the Solo TTRPGs, I wanted to see what kind of books are out there. So, I did the YouTube search. I did the whole top Solo TTRPG books, top Solo RPGs, dungeon crawl, all the words. And I've come across videos along with looking online and research. So why not throw another video out there? So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. These are in no particular order. I promise you that. This is just what's on my pile of books right now that I have to my right, and we'll showcase one at a time. First one just happens to be 2D6. 2D6 Dungeon is a dungeon crawl. Roll dice, chuck dice, draw your map. Which is used, we're in the middle of a campaign, so draw your map, roll for your map, I should say, roll for what's in the room, and fight whatever's there, get whatever loot's there. Your goal is to get 10 levels into the dungeon. Each map is a dungeon, and trying to go from level 1 to level 10 without dying. This game has a lot of tables. You have one book, which is your core rules, and you have one book that has all your tables of what the rooms are, what you run into, what happens in the room, everything. This book is by Toby Lancaster. I will leave a link in the description. There are other books that can go along with this to enhance your gameplay. There are other things that you can buy for this game to enhance the game, to make it, I wouldn't say make it better, but make it more engaging, I guess you could say, more thematic. I'm not going to go too much into all the little add-ons you can get to this game. You can look on the website, and it'll go over everything that's there, but all you really need is these two books. You can buy the books, or you can download the PDF, which a lot of these games you can, and go from there. Have fun. If you like dungeon crawl, you like chucking a bunch of dice, 2d6s, that's all you need in this game, hence 2d6 Dungeon. And you like hacking and slashing, and you like everything just laid out in front of you, it's very simple to play. If all you need is a paper, pencil, and these two books with a couple D6s. Definitely a recommendation. One of the top games, I think, me personally, that are out there for dungeon crawls. Definitely, if you are looking to get into this genre, I think this book, or these two books together, is a must-have. You got to get these books. You got to get these. Well, when you buy it, it comes as a set, or you can download the PDF. But I think this is a book that you got to add to your collection. Definitely. That's one. going on to the next one without any particular order. Alone Against Fear. This is one game I will say I haven't played. I have a general idea of how to play. It is a hex crawl, roll dice, fight style game. The whole point of this game is you are trying to close, if I'm not mistaken, 7 portals. This game is not meant to be played as a I would say a sit down, get through it. This is a campaign. You're going to play this game, and depending on how much time you have, it's going to take some time to try to get through a whole actual game, closing these gates. And I haven't played it. I'm excited to play it. You have to go through the towns. That's what it is. That's what I was trying to say. You go through each town, and each town, you're going to find different things in each town as you visit. There's your character sheet. Need a couple D6s, some more dice, and chuck away. Everything you need to play and everything, all the rules are right here. It is, from the gameplay that I've seen, in this game is this game is very unforgiving. So you got to be very careful when you're going through towns and making your decisions on what you want to do. It looks fun. It looks fun. Again, everything you need is set here in this book for rules. Minus needing some dice and a pencil and paper, and going from there. Alone Against Fear, another must-have in your collection. And I will say, these games that I am showing you, these Solo TTRPG games that I am showing you, will be showcasing gameplay on the channel as I go along. But definitely, I'm excited to play this one. Definitely see how this goes. Alone Against Fear by Andrea. Oh my God, I'm gonna mess up this name as I record this. Let me see here. Written by Andrea Siffa. I'm not. You know what? I'm just gonna say Andrea. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the last name. I'm probably gonna mess it up. But I think I got this one on eBay. No, I think I got this one on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken as well. A lot of these games, there's a website right there. Gainshausgames.net. There's a website right there. I'll also include this in the description as well for it. Another Solo TTRPG. Great to have in the collection. If you like a little bit of horror, solo, fighting, must have in the collection. All right. Moving on. Now this is quite an interesting little game. The mechanics in this are a little bit different. It's an RPG for space cowboys. It is called Deadbolt. So the purpose of this game, is you are a deadbolt and you are going in space into these ships, and all you need is a deck of cards and some dice. You're going to go into these ships, and you're trying to get salvage from these ships to pay off a debt, to pay off your debt. This is another game I haven't played yet, but you're going to go into these different ships here, and you roll for the type of ships here, and you use a deck of cards. Let's see here. You have these different types of ships. And the ships you use to create are the deck of cards. So here's an example of a ship right here, a destroyer. What you'll do is you'll start in a certain spot that you choose. You'll use these deck of cards to create the shape, and you as the deadbolt will go into each of these areas, and each card and each emblem will represent something different that happens when you flip over the card, depending on what card it is. There is a, what is it called? Roll20 website. There is a what is it called? On Roll20, I think it is. or is it, yeah, Roll20, where you could create games. There is a digital version of this that I got, that the creators have put out, and I could put the link in the description, if you wanted to play. It's free to make. It's free to play on there, and you have to have the book though for the rules and all that. The digital part just does the cards and everything like that if you wanted to do it digitally. But I think it's a little bit more fun when you have the cards and all that. RPG for, yep, that's what it is. It's a couple of Drakes. Zine are the creators of this little game. And I think it's wonderful. All you need is your deck of cards and this book and some dice, and everything is laid out. It's not that chunky. It's not that thick. The rules are pretty straightforward. As you can see, it's not too dense when it comes to rules and stuff. But yeah, definitely Deadbolt RPG for Space Cowboys. Nice little one right there. All right. Disclaimer. A lot of you guys who have come into this channel, a lot of these games you may or may not know already. And here is another one, Keralis. This is a single player. Oh yeah, I forgot to say. I know you can play these games. They're meant to be solo, but there are some of them, like to include Deadbolt, you can play co-op with 2 people. But it's mostly made for solo. But you're able to play co-op with Deadbolt and the Keralis as well. A single player and co-op dungeon survival game. I'm trying to remember a lot of the stuff in Keralis. If you want to leave it in the description, some notes of people who have played this, but it's basically a dungeon crawl. It's basically chuck dice, fight things, and it's very unforgiving. It is a very hard game from what I've heard and what I've seen, but a very, very fun game indeed to play into the Midnight Throne. Yeah, I think that's basically all I could think of when it comes to this game. I'm trying to remember a lot of the playthrough in my head, but for some reason it's not coming to my head right now. But this is another one I can't wait to showcase on the channel. Definitely a must-have in your collection of solo RPGs, solo TTRPGs. You know, I will say that there's so much out there when it comes to solo TTRPG, or just solo or TTRPGs in general. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of books. There's a lot of indie books. There's a lot of unknown people created their own indie solo TTRPGs. There are people who are well known. I'm still learning, a lot about these creators of these games. Keralis is a very popular game as well, and it is well known, and it's from Black Oath Games. And let's face it, there's a lot of times where if you like these kinds of games, obviously I'm assuming you do watching this channel, where you may like D&D, but you just don't have the time, whether to go to do a session, go to a gaming store, or have people over to do a session. These games are meant, hey, if you got an hour, 2 hours, depending on your day, let's face it, life is crazy. We have lots of things going on in our lives, and these games are so wonderful when it comes to just being able to sit down, open a book, get a piece of paper, grab a pencil, and just play a quick session, or continue a session where you were at. And I think that's these kinds of games that are wonderful. Now I will say I do like the chuck dice, everything dungeon crawl style solo TTRPGs. There are different styles of solo TTRPGs. There's journaling. That's one that pops in my head. There's a combination of, maybe there's dungeon crawling, exploring, and with a side of journaling and some RPG aspect of it. And I'm going to get into those games down the road. I think I'll go over one of the games that I have as a little bit more RPG to it, with maybe a dash of journaling involved. But the games that I've showcased so far is pretty much, hey, here's your map, here's your dice, here's your rules. Everything you need, what you encounter, what happens is in the book. That's simple. That's simple. Now, I will add that in 2D6, there is this thing called inventive usage. I know I'm backtracking here a little bit, where everything is not laid out with the tables when you open up a table, and it tells you the flavor text of what's in that room or whatever. You do have a little bit of an RPG element where you can be inventive depending on what room you're in and what's in that room, and you have that creative boundary to do that. So that is a cool little aspect when it comes to 2D6, or depending on what you like for RPGs, when it comes to tabletop RPGs or solo TTRPGs for that matter. But me personally, I love the chuck dice. And everything's in the book, but I do also like the inventive usage portion of 2D6 if I wanted to add that on there too. So that is cool. Current Athalis, I'm sorry I didn't have much to say, but it is a dungeon crawl, chuck dice, explore, don't die, very hard but fun, exciting game, and definitely a must-have in your collection. Must have. All right, moving on. 4 Against Darkness. This is another one I haven't had a chance to play. We got a lot of dungeon crawling and a lot of exploring to do when it comes to the future of this channel. And I'm really, really excited. 4 Against Darkness. There are add-ons to this game. Excuse me. There are other things to be added to this game, other expansions that you can add to this, but this is the start of it. A solitaire dungeon delve a dime pen and paper game. That pen and paper game. That's it. That's basically the other one. Oh my gosh! I almost ordered the other expansion to this, or another expansion to this, but I cut myself off. I said, you know what? Let's just get through the basics of a lot of these games before we start adding expansions, and get into it before I do any of that. But 4 Against Darkness, another solitaire dungeon delve pen and paper game. Roll the dice, chuck the dice, create your character, and go on. And I wish I could remember a lot of this stuff too, but when it comes to this game, but this is another well-known solo TTRPG as well. There you go. 4 Against Darkness. Moving on. Now here's an interesting one. Here's an interesting one with a more RPG element. And this game, all you need for this game is pen, paper, a deck of cards, and in this case, I got the journal to this. This one is a little bit more RPG, not dungeon crawl, but obviously you're a crow. I have, if I look here, I do have some extra stuff that I printed off for it. Here we go. Let me pull this out. Let me see if I can get this out of here. When you're creating your character, I made a little token. Made a little token for my character sheet because there are maps that you can download for this game that I download. Here's your character sheet. And your cards are basically going to be used to figure out what happens, whether you're flying or whatever you're doing. Those instead of using dice. And I'm trying to get these maps out here. And there are different maps that I actually went in here and laminated depending on what adventure you are going on. And they're all if you can see them. They're all hex crawl style type of game where you're moving along. And it is kind of a little bit journaly. You can, I mean, not like big heavy journaling, but little notes depending on what your quest is or what your adventure is. You can make notes. I bought this straight from the person, or straight from the publisher. And it'd been a while. He did a live video playthrough. There we go. Created by Tim Roberts. If you search Tim Roberts, Be Like a Crow, there is a video where he did a solo playthrough of this game, and it is very fun. It is very fun. I love the book. I love the layout. I love the concept. I think normally, like I told you, I'm more of a dungeon crawl hack and slash type of person, but I think what drew my eye was the different element of being a crow, going on these adventures, doing these quests or whatever they may be. And it's just a different aspect. And with just the cards, it caught my attention. This may not be for everybody, but I am definitely willing to give it a shot, willing a chance to see what it's like. But I did watch some playthrough, and I liked what I saw. So I was like, you know what? Why not? I have been looking. I'm a side little story. I was actually looking to get a little crow miniature, and I've seen them on Amazon, but nothing I liked. So we'll be showcasing this for sure on the channel. So I just made a little token for now, and a deck of cards, and we'll see where it goes. There is another book similar to this. It's called, by the same creator. It's called Be Like a Cat instead of Be Like a Crow. So there is that out there as well if you want to do a little bit more research, but definitely solo for sure. Definitely solo. So yeah, different element, different style, different way of looking at solo RPGing. And you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a chance. So Be Like a Crow. There you go. Moving on. All right. You know what? We're going to skip one. Okay. Let's talk with a big one here. Let's just get this one out of the way because a majority of you guys who probably watch this channel already know what it is. D100 Dungeon. This was my very first video. I'm still doing more playthroughs with this. We finished quest 1 already. This is literally what it says. You use the D100 dice to figure out what's going to happen in each room. It's a map system. I think I got everything still here. Yep. Here's your map. As you go through each room of this dungeon, different things happen. Here's your character sheets, your combat tracker, your backpack, everything, the kinds of things, the items that you pick up. Here's a little cheat sheet I printed off for the game. But D100 Dungeon. If you literally like the dungeon crawl, chuck dice system like I do, or I guess you could call it OSR, I would definitely say this is top 3. I would definitely say this is top 3 as well. Also, if you like the system and you like the gameplay, I don't have it. I plan on getting it. There's another game by the same Martin people. If you like more of a fantasy, futuristic space theme, then there's D100 Space as well. And I'll put that in. I'll put a picture in it of what it looks like right there. But yeah, D100 Dungeon. Yeah, you got to get this in your collection. I've been saying that with a few books, but this game is too great. D100 is too great. You got to get this. Love it. All right. From the same creator of 2D6, Toby Lancaster. I didn't buy the book. I just straight up instead of waiting for the book, I just got the PDF. There's not a lot of gameplay footage of this game. in on YouTube that I've seen. There's some, not a lot, and I plan on covering for sure this game, Rad Zone Totalitar. Now I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Toby, if you watch this, don't hate me. Before it was just called Rad Zone, and then the updated it version is Rad Zone Totality. There is a book version, obviously. There are also expansions, and I bought the expansions as well here. There is a Science Lab expansion, and then there is a if I can get to it. Nope. It's back here. Maybe I got it. Where are you? Watch. As soon as I would have found this in 2 seconds if I wasn't recording this dang video. There we go. Told you. And then there's Rad Zone Totalitar Exhibition Center expansion. So these expansions are basically added maps, and within those maps you have different tables. So for this expansion, there's some more tables which you roll for, and then there are the maps right here. These are the maps. Now I'm going to try to explain this as easy as possible. Okay, before you get to this big map, okay, before you get to this big room and this building, all right, you have to go through these smaller areas, because it's basically you are, you know, what is it, apocalyptic area, apocalyptic style type of game. And I went in ahead, and there's these little assets I added. You have your different encounters. You have your different characters. I printed out and I actually just put inside these little card sleeves. I printed them out and cut them out. But you have your characters, you have your survivors, and actually, do I have a copy of a? Yes, I do. In the back. Let's see. No, this is just those. Okay, so I'll put it this way. Instead of me looking for it, you have 10 survivors, not counting you. You have 10 survivors, right? And you go out on these missions, on these maps, and you have to find certain things on these maps is your mission. And if you fail the mission and come back without dying, you lose survivors. If you get down to 0 survivors or 1 survivor, you roll a dice. Certain things can happen. If you have 0 survivors, you have bad things happen. You can also find survivors when you go out on the map and look for survivors and add survivors. And if you get, it's either 2 things happen. You either get 20 survivors, you win the game, or you complete 10 quests, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you win the game. One of those 2 conditions to win the game. But before you go to the bigger maps, you have these smaller maps. It's kind of like getting to the city, right? Let me see if I can explain this here. It's kind of like you just left. This is how I look at it. You just left your room or wherever you're at, and you're making your way into the big city. But in order to do that, you got to take a route. And in these routes, these are different maps. I have multiple ones of them. Different ones you can randomize to get through, to get to the big city. And on these, I won't go over every single little thing, but there's little symbols. There's like radiation levels, and there's searches for cars. There's not a lot of combat in this game, but there are people, bad guys, I'll just call them. I can't think of the name of them, where you're trying not to fight. You're trying to explore and not die. So combat's it's not too combative or heavy. It's more of exploring. That's basically what it is. And you got to get across this map, and there's rules for moving to get to this red zone, right? And then you go into the building, you do the searching, you roll dice. I'll kind of go over that here in a second. And then you come back from the map, do the same thing, and get back into the building where your survivors are at. And I wish I had one of those printed off, and I don't think I did. I don't think I printed it off. But okay, so that's the basic gist of getting to this. Now, what's crazy, and I'm gonna try to explain here, what's great about this, and I'm sorry for the glare. So what happens, let me see if I can get off this glare here. Okay, there we go. So what happens is you have 3 dice, right? You color code them, whatever they may be. Let's just say we have these, you need D6s, right? There we go, we'll use this one. Let's say, no, we'll use a different one. Here we go. We'll make it even easier. We'll make it even easier. All right. So you're gonna move into one of these locations. You have different entry points right here. This is just an example of one map here. You have an entrance here. So you have two entrances examples to get into this room. And what you'll do is as you move along this way, along these little corridors or along the map, you have different grid square. You have little squares. So what you're going to do is roll these dice. So roll these dice, and depending on the order of the dice, let's say the first order of dice will be red, white, and blue. Okay. So you'll do is you'll roll the dice. And in this case, let's just say we rolled a 1. So from left to right, the very first 3 squares you move into, this will be red. Let's say white was my second dice. This will be your white is middle, and then your blue is your far right. So these are the 3 squares that you'll move into. Now, depending on the number of the dice, in this case, I think 1 is anything 1 to 3 is green. So you'd color that green. 3 to 4, I think, is like yellow. Yellow is bad, but not bad. And then obviously, if you roll a 6, that would be red. And then you don't want to walk in the red. So you're just moving along cautiously, trying to get to these search locations right here to get stuff. And you're moving along this whole map. Now, I'm not going to dive too much into the details, but that's basically use the dice to move, which is cool. I love that mechanic. Absolutely love that mechanic on here. And then there's other rules along the sides here that could happen if you roll a 111 or a 222 or whatever. But that's the basic gist of the game, and I just love that it's a different mechanic, and I'm dropping cards. It's a different mechanic that I haven't seen. And Toby, listen, big shout out to Toby Lancaster. He makes some great games. There's some new games he's coming out with. But definitely, if you like Toby Lancaster, you like 2D6, you like exploring, definitely a must. I'm very excited to this. I think the reason I didn't want to wait for the book to come from overseas because I'm in the U.S. I'm like, I got to get this now. So I just printed it off. I just printed it all off and added it to my collection. Great book. Great game. Excited to play that one. All right. Now, this one kind of took me by storm. Vaesen from Free League. First thing is first. Here, let me get rid of this here. First thing is first. Free League makes some great games. They really do. They make some great games. I have not been able to play any of their games just yet, but this book. First thing I got to tell you about this book. When I first got this book, it was bigger than I thought it was going to be. It looked and felt like a real book. I was not expecting the pages in this book to be like actual paper. I thought it was going to be like a semi-gloss or something like that, but no. And the art is absolutely wonderful. I got this book for a couple of reasons. I think the one thing that really caught my attention was the art. That's number one. 2, It's you're first of all you're a Vaesen. Let me go over the basics of the game here. So you're a Vaesen. You are able to see these creatures, right? And it's kind of like a Call of Cthulhu style mystery. It's not a lot of combat, although you do have a gun for fighting or whatever. It is a mystery science mystery style type of game, and you're running around. You have tables in here that you will roll on depending on what's going on, and you're gonna investigate and try to find these Vaesens. Is the premises of the game. There is some obviously RPG element to this. There is, I think, don't quote me, there is going to be a little bit of journaling, just notes as you go along while you're investigating and trying to complete these, trying to find these Vaesens. This is the book by itself. You cannot play solo. You will need a book, and I think I have it here. Not a book. You can download this. Let's see, it's on here. To play Vaesen, to play this solo, you will need what's called Thursday's Child. And Thursday's Child is like a nickname they call the people that can see these creatures and these monsters. And it's not too solo thick heavy when it comes to setting up. That's basically all the pages, like 12 pages. That's it to play the solo version of this game. I'm excited. I said this before. I'm excited to play this because of I do like the Call of Cthulhu style kind of game, mystery games. I played the board games and stuff, and the living card game, Arkham Horror and stuff like that. So I do like that aspect. There is some dice chucking, but I like I said before, I do want to touch on the RPG side. That's great. That's wonderful. But if you do like the RPG element, with some creative thinking, but there are definitely dice rolling aspect charts that you can add to it as well. And I don't know, man. I love the art. The art is amazing. The art is absolutely stunning. It caught my eye. It definitely has. And the book alone is a showpiece by itself. Just standing. I don't know if you have places where you keep all your games and stuff, but this is definitely a showcase just to look at it. It's really cool. So yeah, definitely Vaesen RPG by Free League. Free League always puts some great stuff out. Nordic horror role playing. That's the word I was looking for, is Nordic, with a Call of Cthulhu style feel to it. Definitely great. All right, there is one on here that I'm not totally sure of, but it eludes me to knowing how to play, but it is another one that I did research. I'd have to go back and refresh my memory on, is No Quest. There's an expansion to it that I put in here. Let's see if it's back here. I've combined some stuff on here. No Quest here. I put it in the back. Here we go. There is an expanded world that I downloaded for No Quest, and I haven't sleeved it yet, but there's an expansion on here as well. And oh man, I wish I was watching some playthrough of this, but it's definitely, let me see if it's a building a dungeon. We built as you explore. Okay, opening it door by door initially, and so basically it's kind of like explore as you go. To play No Quest, you will need this book, a notebook, a grid paper, a pencil, and some D6. First, you will create an adventurer and a dungeon. If you manage to complete the dungeon, you will move on to another dungeon, and so on. If you die before that, which is very likely, create a new character, explore dungeon again and find your old character's corpse with all its items in the backpack and explore a new dungeon. This is the flow of the game. There you go. Right there. Couldn't have said it better. And it's just one of these cool little nifty games that just looks cool and looks fun to play. That is a niche that scratches my my solo TTRPG or TTRPG style type of game. So no quest. That is another one. All right. I think I'm gonna add this last one, and I think that's it. A Torch in the Dark. Here's another one that I downloaded, the PDF, and this is played with deck of cards as well. Dungeon crawl style game. Draw cards and a combination of drawing cards and rolling dice to play this game. And there's phases to play: rolling the dice, creating a character, drawing the cards, treasure, armor. Oh, and what's cool about this is your backpack is put out to where how you spread out the things that are in your backpack based off the word. Like armor will take up a slot. The actual word armor will take up a slot. There's a rule that goes with this depending on what it is. Treasure will take up one slot. Treasure may just take up one square out of your grid square in your backpack. So that's a cool little element that's added to the game as well. Treasure and stash. So here is another one. It's a very simple, here you go. Here's a very simple character sheet. Very easy to play, very simple to play. Here's your inventory. Here's your XP, your skills, your conditions, your name, your stress, your corruption, your stash, your companions that you can pick up along the way as well while you're playing. And yeah, so a Torch in the Dark as well. I will say there are a lot of other games out there that I haven't even added onto the system, or actually added into this video, which I plan on adding more videos like this in the future. What I see, what I explore, what I buy, what I get, what I download, to keep compiling a list of different books for people out there that are watching this channel, or ideas for books and stuff like that. So if you have any ideas for my style of games that I know one off the top of my head is and it's free to download. It's Barbarian Prince. If you go on Board Game Geek or even Google Barbarian Prince Board Game Geek, you will find that's free to play. That was it's been refurbished, more up to date kind of thing, but the rules are still the same. I think that game was made in like 1981. That is a game that I plan on downloading and putting in a binder and playing as well too. So, and there's some more out there that I want to do and continue to find. I want to also, side note, I know I'm a new channel, but I want to say thank you to all my subscribers that have found my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. And I look forward to doing more content, more TTRPGs, and continue to grow the channel and have more fun with games like this. So by all means, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming by. Sergeant Meeple out. Take care.